Hello law students! Today we're going to go over my top 5 tips on how to ace a legal job interview. My name is Shannon Leo and I'm the Director of Practice Excellence for the Student and Associate Programs at Cassels. I have quite a lot of experience interviewing and hiring law students, and I have observed consistently these 5 skills in the top candidates that we see. Number 5, do your homework. Interviewing is a skill, and the more prepared you are, the more relaxed you'll be, and therefore the better you will perform. Start by researching the firm or employer's website and their NELP profile in the Canadian Directory of Legal Employers. This will give you some good general information about practice areas and the student program. Your interviewers will expect you to know the basics about their organization and student program. I also highly recommend that you try to speak with a current or former student to get more in-depth information about the employer's culture and the interview format. Some interviews are more conversational in nature, which will feel relaxed in tone, but it's very likely that the employer has competencies that they are looking for in their candidates. For example, they might be listening for your work ethic and attitude, even if it seems like you're just having a nice chat. Once you have information about the culture of the organization and the format of the interview, you will be able to anticipate the type of questions they might ask, and you will be able to think of examples from your past work, academic, and volunteer experiences that you would like to discuss. Which brings us to point number 4, practice your pitch. The students that are very effective in interviews often have thought through their strengths and have come up with some anecdotes to highlight these strengths. Go through your application package before each interview to refresh your memory about what's in it. It's a great idea to think about anecdotes for each point on your CV, because even things that you did a while ago might come up, and it's great to be able to speak in a compelling way about each of your experiences. Remember to structure your answers in a way that provide enough content for the interviewer. A great acronym is the STAR technique. The S stands for situation, which is where you lay out the context of your story. The T is the task, which is what your task was in this story. A is the activity, or what you did. And R is the result, the outcome of the story, basically. So for example, if an interviewer asks you about your summer as a research assistant, you might start with the S, the situation, which is that you were lucky enough to be chosen to work with Professor X researching the changes to the PPSA. You would then outline the task. So for example, you might say that one of the more work-intensive responsibilities was reviewing all of the past iterations of the Act. Then you would move on to the A, the activity, and you might talk about the 3 weeks that you spent in the Great Library going through old acts and creating a chart to summarize them. And lastly, you'd want to talk about the results. So you might say, for example, that Professor X found your work so helpful that she's considering including it in her textbook. You will note that I tried to frame the example in a way that really sold the candidate's skills and strengths in a way that would be compelling to the interviewer. My last point on this topic is not to rehearse too much. You want to prepare so that you're relaxed and you can focus on the next point, which is connecting with the interviewer, but you don't want to over-prepare so that you come across as robotic and unnatural. You definitely want to be your authentic self in these interviews. Which brings us to point number 3, make the connection. Connecting with your interviewers is very important. I cannot overstate the importance. People want to hire people that they can picture working with. It's important to manage your nerves so that you can focus on connecting with your interviewers. If you've done your homework and practiced discussing your strengths and experiences, then hopefully you will feel well prepared and confident. Also use other tricks that work for you when you're nervous. Exercise the day of your interview, for example, or get a pep talk from your friends and family. Most importantly, remember to smile when you first meet your interviewers. Focus on the interviewers and follow their cues. If they are relaxed and using a conversational and joking manner, then feel comfortable doing the same. If they're more conservative, then also feel free to do the same. Use your emotional intelligence to notice the topics that have them perk up. Ask them questions about their practices and show interest in what they have to say. Move on from topics that they don't seem as interested in. Law is a client service industry, and having strong emotional intelligence and being able to react to the cues of your interviewers is very important. Point number 2, everyone matters. Everyone you meet at the organization, from the receptionist to the people in the mailroom to the managing partner, are important to the organization, so be sure to treat them all with respect. This is obviously the right thing to do, but also lawyers will often ask the people that they work with what their impressions were of the student, so it can be helpful if you were very nice and respectful, and it can hurt you if you weren't. There's a flip side to this advice, which is try to observe how people interact with each other for more information about the organization. For example, if you are on a tour, notice whether lawyers say hello to each other and to the students. Do they greet each other by name? Do they show interest in what the other people's work and personal lives are like? This is a hint about how they will treat you as a student. My last point is to show interest. It is very important for you to show the employer that you're enthusiastic about the job prospect. You can show your enthusiasm with words, by telling interviewers how great the job and the organization sounds, and with actions. So, for example, meeting as many lawyers as you can during the interview process and spending time with them shows that you're interested. I also think that having well thought out questions shows interest. It shows that you care about the process and where you end up, and that you're invested in your longer term career. It also shows that you've done your homework and that you can specifically show what about the organization is appealing. You can drive home your interest in a nice, concise thank you email. Lawyers appreciate it when students take the time to say thank you for the time that they spent in the interview. They are often very busy people, and it's nice to acknowledge that they took a break from their day to meet you. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy days, and good luck with your job interviews.